All right, yeah, that kind of works. There we go. That kind of worked. I need to get the files themselves downloaded onto my laptop, which you can't do off TikTok on the laptop. I found you can do it on your phone, so that's inconvenient. I'll have to upload it to YouTube and do it that way. But all right, let me get my self sorted out here. All right, so all I'm gonna do here, fellas, considering everything going on, people dealing with real life stuff, I thought we made good progress on this draft. To be honest with you, I kind of dug it. Um, so we're just going to go through team by team. We're going to take a look at the picks that everybody made, and I'm just going to go in order of how it appears on the sheet here, which honestly does appear to be random. So we're going to begin with the man himself, 40 FPS, taking another crack at the apple, another bite at the apple with the San Fran playbook. I don't. We don't love to see it. Like that playbook has just not had the results. The reason is what so like just real quick, it's got the same problems that the Miami playbook has in that it's essentially a three-play playbook in terms of what the defense is going to be calling, right? So if you were calling pass, there's a higher chance you're going to get play picked, I think. Unlike the Miami playbook, though, it's extremely hard to ding the defense for long runs on the run play because um, it's a run to the bottom, whereas the Miami play is its own thing. It's a draw. The entire defense is blocked except the outside linebackers, and in certain situations, the top defensive tackle or top inside linebacker. And so you can get first downs, especially if you have a faster back than what comes stock with the Miami offense on the OG ROM. San Fran doesn't have that ability, right? It's a run to the bottom. So all the defense needs is a capable defender on top, and you'll be lucky to get a first down on it. And that just ain't enough. At least it hasn't been enough thus far. Let's look at the personnel that he's putting out there. Mark Rippon, obviously, I'm a big fan. I had him the season I won. He's real good, strong arm. He's fast. Slightly downgraded US Montana is what old Rip is. 40 got Marcus Allen. I want to say midway through the second round. That's a good value pick, considering how important 9-4 running backs have generally been. Um, it's certainly a lot easier when you have a capable running back. How is Marcus going to do in the San Fran playbook? I really don't know. The Chicago receivers also not ideal for this playbook. Um, Willie Galt is all right in that top spot, and it is an important spot, especially on the shotgun play, because you need him to go deep. Ron Morris, though, in the Jerry Rice role, we would love to see that. For me, when I play with San Fran, I never throw the ball to the tight end. That doesn't mean he can't do it, but Cat Boso probably, I would guess, not going to get the ball very much um, this season. Allen should be dangerous as a receiver. You know, he's a better version of U.S. Roger Craig. So if you can get the ball in his hands, should be able to move it pretty well in that regard. In the O line, second best in the league this season because of the presence of Japan Chicago, but still great line. 40's first round pick, his regular first round pick was the Washington top. That's a great unit, right? You got Dexter Manley, you got Wilbur Marshall who can apply pressure and often block extra points, and then you have Barry Wilburn, who's a very capable drone. You can run some bunk bed defense and be less predictable with what you're going to run. Um, I've had Barry. He's not a great drone helper, so if you're like, we talk sometimes about like drone Ronnie Lott, Hinford Dixon and Dave Dewerson can kind of do it too, where you count on that. You have a really good top safety helping you out on a run to the top, so maybe you can sneak in a pass call. Okay, the center is a big piece in San Fran offense. If you have a good one, he'll get way out there to block the bottom DB. Okay, see, had no idea. Drew's kind of a scientist when it comes to offensive lines, and I am completely oblivious to it. Although the one thing I will say is it's not the bottom DB that's going to get you. It's going to be the man defender. Saw it with Dwight last season. All right. Well, at least you've got that going for you, and that's nice. Um, really good top unit here. Well balanced. Barry Wilburn's not going to help you out with drone defense, really, but solid piece on kick returns, too. The San Fran mid. Well, there's perhaps an even better extra point blocker in Michael Carter, one of the best in the business. Unremarkable linebackers. San Francisco bottom. This was one of 40's last picks. I mean, it's poop. It's doo-doo, but Tim McKyer does have a step on the very worst defensive backs. So, all right, you got that. Special teams, Minnesota has a nice unit. Yeah, that phrasing. Very unfortunate phrasing. Minnesota's, I don't remember who their punter is. Their kicker's Chuck Nelson. He's solid. Anthony Carter's a good return man. So, not a bad defense here. Defensive talent with 12 guys in this league was going to be in demand, and 40 got a nice pick, right? He doesn't have any speed on the bottom. That sucks. He'll have to come up with a way. If it's me, McKyer's probably my call just because he's the best option down there. But plenty of, when you're able to defend from the top, this is not a bad defense. All right, moving on from 40 and his unit. Pittsburgh now, Tecmo Ninja. I'm not even gonna address this. Not even gonna address this. You would think someone, I am gonna address this. You would think someone from Cleveland would be more sensitive, would have a little more loyalty to their community than what we've seen from Tecmo Ninja. 3 different cities in 9 seasons. Art Modell thinks you need to pump the brakes, dude. He thinks you've taken it too far. That's all I'm going to say about this. Moving on, Seattle Playbook. Seattle Playbook is my favorite offense on the OG ROM. And it won the championship last season. This is a great playbook, right? He's got Doug Williams, a very capable quarterback. Kurt Warner, a very capable running back. And then the Miami receivers, who are not bad, right? And he took the Miami receivers while there were other comparable units. I don't know if he was targeting Seattle like the whole time. If he had been, I might have taken Cleveland receivers because Ozzie Newsome's going to give you a little more juice on that wonderful tight end curl than than Bruce Hardy is going to. And Bruce Hardy's probably going to get his hands on the ball, although I imagine Ninja's probably going to be targeting Clayton on bottom now as opposed to the tight end. You never can tell. Denver O-line, I mean, they've got one good guy. They got a good guy, Bishop, I think. So this is, I mean, the only knock I got on this group is that Miami is suboptimal for the playbook in terms of receivers. But, I mean, it's nice. Mark Duper definitely got the juice to sneak deep and make some plays. So this is a nice offense. Let's look at that defense. What the shit? Get out. Had some get activated in front of my screen here. Looking at the defense, of course, New York top. I mean, arguably the best defensive unit in the game. I think with Marshall and Banks, because of the position he plays, he's in the conversation as the best defensive player. Obviously, LT and Ronnie Lott and this season Michael Dean Perry have better stats, right? Or better player speed, basically. But given the very valuable position that Carl Banks plays, sorry, my dog wandered in. I don't know what he's doing. He's sniffing the floor. A busy time here in the dining room. Really great. Yeah, top LB almost never goes into coverage, Chris. There's only a few times. Of course, a great position to deal with the Miami offense, which even though I think people act like the bloom has come off the Miami Rose lately, It is Topo Chico, folks. Staying dry tonight. It is what it's always been. It's a good playbook. Carl Banks is perfectly suited to crush that playbook. So very strong in that regard. Dallas middle, rock bottom, doo doo butt. Um, Miami bottom, the Bloom off the Miami Rose playbook. Um, correct. Where was it? Oh yeah, Miami bottom with Lee Williams. I had Lee Williams last season. I actually kind of regretted the pick. I should have taken Dalton Hilliard. Um, but he's a U.S. Charles Mann clone, right? He's a very good player, and he's in a great spot because he's going to give you that drone rush if you're not controlling him on the four receiver routes. So between the New York top and Lee Williams on bottom, this is a good balanced defense. I like it. Washington special teams, balanced unit. If he hadn't taken him, I would have. Dale Green, not a great returner, but he does have more initial speed than a lot of guys in the bottom half of the returner group do. Their kicker kind of sucks, but their punter's good. Jess Atkinson, unremarkable kicker, but otherwise, yeah. So a good offense, good defense. This is a nice balanced team from Ninja. Nelson, Tampa Bay. Of course, this I think was the last season he moved. Cleveland cannot catch a break even in Tecmo Bowl League. But this is quite the grouping he's got here. Of course, John Elway in the Miami offense is I mean that's very exciting. He's got a cannon. He's the fastest QB. Timmy Smith, not the best back who's ever appeared in this offense, but a back who's been successful in it. Um, and he's better than Lorenzo Hampton. Uh, and so, yeah, I mean, we know Timmy can be successful in this offense. Cleveland receivers, if Levi makes a point to get the ball into Ozzie Newsome's hands, I think this is a decent pick. Webster Slaughter is not Mark Clayton. He's not quite as fast. Um, and so it's a little off there, but also having the option to dump the ball underneath to Timmy Smith on pass three, let him cook, let him get you some yards. Yeah, this is an intimidating group here. And let's move on to defense. Denver top, of course, the star of the show there is Rulon Jones, quality player in a great spot. That top D end is my personal favorite spot on the defense. And Rulon's not the best, but he's better than the worst. Uh, that 1 point of initial speed and slightly better acceleration makes him play appreciably faster than your typical 1409 guy in that spot. Now, I actually went against, I did Levi, he's solid. I went against his list because I don't think he realized that he was trying to self-sabotage himself when it came to his middle group. Um, he wanted New York, which is a 3-4 set, but then the second choice was Dallas. Well, New York was gone when came time for the pick. And I got in the Cleveland middle, which is poop. It's doo-doo but he's putting Sam Mills in there. I think Sam Mills, I don't recall off the top of my head, I think he goes in that top spot. Uh, Drew, is he in that top spot? You can you can let me know, and I'll keep moving here. But whether he's in the top or the bottom, you want him in. Here's the gist, and this information has been discussed before. It's been posted before. I will post it again after the stream. Okay, he's top. All right, so he's like Fred Young, basically. He's a Fred Young clone, and Fred Young's one of the best defenders in the goddamn game. So you need him in that top spot. When we're talking about that middle triad, you got the triangle, the points of the triangle. So either your middle linebacker or your nose tackle is always blocked on the run, no matter what you call, no matter what run play is called or what you call, you're always blocked on the run. When you're one of two, so if it's two defensive tackles or two inside linebackers, against about half of the playbooks for each guy, you're able to scheme him into being unblocked against the other run, and then you have an outstanding defender to also try and drop back and make a play. in the pass game. It's why, that is a big explanation of what makes like Denver and Seattle so good in the OG ROM. Opportunities where you can use Mecklenburg and Fred Young. So Levi is going to have Sam Mills in a position where he can be helpful. And so I think that makes his defense a lot stronger because if he was a middle linebacker in a 4-3 set, he's basically reduced to blocking extra points and like desperation dives on defense, which honestly you can do in a 3-4 set too. If you want to be Sam Mills all the time and just try your hand at um, corralling runners or hitting them with dives, you can do that in a 3-4 just as easily and still have the option for some clean run defense every once in a while. LA bottom, outstanding unit. Phrasing again. I actually thought I was going to wind up with LA because I figured Drew would take Washington bottom. When he didn't, I did. And so Howie Long, the best edge rusher in the game, of course, they had no idea what an edge rusher was back in 1987. But that's what I call that bottom D end who comes in free on the 4 receiver sets, and Howie's the best in the biz. Special teams. I want to say Dallas isn't. They got a good kicker, I know. The punter, I don't think much about, and they've got a slow receiver or a slow returner, Dante. Um, so that's not a great unit. But this is a really strong defense here. If you've got a knock, they're slow in the back end, right? Their safeties are bad. So you've got the powerful Miami offense with the great quarterback at the head of it, and 3 really good players on defense. This is a good team that Levi put together. Um, Fiddlesticks, Seattle, because we're not going anywhere, right? Until this league is dead or I am, we are going to be pink. All right. I was surprised that Sims Shady fell to me. I think that was like in the 5th round. And he did kind of change the calculus of what I was thinking about doing. I wound up with the New York playbook. I came very, very close to taking LA because even though that would have scrapped this bit I've been doing now for 9 seasons, where I use a different playbook every season, I like this roster. I think I can win with this roster. And so I wanted to give myself the best chance to do that. And I thought long and hard about taking LA. Ultimately, Thurman Thomas is a good back. I didn't know if he'd be quite fast enough to work at like a championship level. And my theory was I was not going to take Kevin Mack at fullback. I was going to take Lorenzo Hampton because I think back to the most powerful that this offense ever was, in my opinion, was I think the first season Levi used it, where he had Moose. Moose was devastating, right? Like Moose was crushing people the whole season, and I think Levi probably wins the title that year if I didn't have Japan Chris Dolman at the top to end. Yeah. So Ninja, here's the deal though. He did have crazy high HP. When you're engaged and you get blocked, yeah, it was above 100. Um, I don't see. I disagree with the two of you. I think what's important is for the guy to actually make the block, right? I don't know if HP has anything to do with that. Like if the defender is engaged with the runner and any blocker comes over, it doesn't matter who it is, that guy's going flying, right? And so my thought would be having slow ass Lorenzo Hampton rolling out in front on the way down would make it more likely to get that help block, right? That's kind of what I'm thinking. Because there were times in the Moose season where Moose would actually, because I think Levi had Neil Anderson, right? So Neil would be um, actually in front of Moose, and then Moose would roll up and smash the guy. That was my theory anyway. But we're arguing about it here, which proves that we don't know, and ultimately that was too much for me. So I decided to take more of a known entity, New York. Ninjas won a lot of games the last 2 seasons with the New York offense. It's very solid, and I know that my quarterback, Phil Sims Shady, and the New York receiving crew can do business in this offense, right? Because they were made for it. Thurman Thomas is a slightly improved Joe Morris. So all told, this is a solid offensive set, I have the shitty Seattle D line, which of course is not going to do me any favors, or O line, pardon me, not going to do me any favors. Well, let's just roll over here. Let's talk a little bit about defense. Where's all the defense? Oh, it's right here. I got it all. Minnesota top. Chris Dolman, Joey Browner. That was my number one pick, right? Then I got the Chicago middle, which fell to my second pick. So it would have been like the fourth round. Fell to the fourth. I wasn't planning on taking them. I was flabbergasted that they were there. Couldn't pass up that much talent in the fourth round. It just couldn't. Two elite talents, like Michael and Singletary, is crazy good. Uh, and then Washington bottom, I expected Drew to take at the end of the first round, beginning of the second. He did not, so I took him. So that gives me Charles Mann and Darrell Green to go with Mike Singletary and Steve McMichael, as well as Chris Dolman and Joey Browner, right? Friggin' crazy. Crazy good defense, which I'm going to need help because I've noticed in recent seasons, I thought maybe my defense is slipping. I think that I think what it is that the league is just so much more elusive now than it used to be, and I just have been surpassed in terms of like technical proficiency and how good a player I can be. And so I'm hoping that having a shitload of defensive talent can help me out. I had a stacked defense last season too, and I don't know how much it helped me out. I mean, it went good. I made it to the final. So we shall see. But I can throw literally anything at anybody with this defense. The only spot I'm weak at is outside linebacker, and that is only going to matter against Miami. And I'll just have to count on a solid strategy to carry me through that one. Running it back with the Miami special teams, Jimbo Pruitt, one of the worst in the game. He's got a terrible line in front of him this time. So, I mean, it's good that I think my offense is built for long, sustained drives because I don't know how much good field position I'm going to be getting. Fuad, not a great kicker, but I mean, he was huge for me last season. There's probably 3, 4 games I don't win without that guy. And then Reggie Roby, I love that guy. Love him. Um, so that's Tecmo Seattle. Let's take a look at these new New York Jets. Another franchise change. Is this the last one other than the new guys? I think it is. This is the last one. CBK taking off the blue jerseys, putting on the green ones. He's going to run that Minnesota playbook. Not my favorite because I don't like pass two in that playbook. I think it's pass two. It's the one that San Fran and Cleveland also have. I don't like it because I'm bad at running it. You know, if you're good at running it, you'll probably whip a lot of ass with it. Look at this duo though: Neil Lomax, Walter Payton, and oh yeah, just the outstanding Washington freaking receiver core too. Jeez Louise, that's an outstanding offense there. Crappy O line, so maybe Neil Lomax is going to get some heat or whatever, but dang, that is crazy. Let's look at my dude's defense. LA top, Sean Jones and Michael Haynes are not the worst players. Definitely not good. The muscle here is in two spots. The hero pick, of course, CBK won his second Hero Cup, which means he gets to add a hero. Um, someone's messing around on the screen. Crazy. Drew, are you in here? What are you doing? Oh, I get it. I get it. Okay, Bird is on top. Gotcha, baby. All right. So that okay. So losing Haynes, who of the two defensive backs would be the one that you want to keep, but also losing him isn't going to be a backbreaker, especially because you're replacing him with a better player, Gilbert. Fred Young, Brian Bosworth in the middle. Fred Young was great for me last season. So I'm going to repost the info about using your interior defenders against the run, which is great information to have when you have the Seattle interior. And then Seattle bottom. I mean, Jacob Green isn't trash. He's 1409. I use him an awful lot when I play as Seattle on the OG ROM. San Fran special teams, unremarkable return man. I want to say that their kickers are pretty good though. So this is a solid squad that CBK has put together as he looks to kind of break through and pile up some regular season wins this season. I think he's got the guys for it. Dizzy P's Denver squad. Dizzy P always puts a good team out there, man. The star of his show is, of course, Eric Dickerson, and he got Dave Craig real late. Dave Craig, what's nice about him is, yeah, he's on the weaker side as far as his throwing arm goes, um, but he does have that 1 point of initial speed, which is going to make him a step faster than your Tommy Kramers and Jay Schraders, and um, of course, Jim McMahon also has a point of initial speed. So in this putting Dickerson in the Denver playbook, I think is wild, right? Like I love it. The Denver receivers are but they are bad, and that sucks. But I mean, they're literally the Denver receivers, so you know that you can still have a good offense with these crappy receivers because Denver has a great playbook. Powerful Chicago offensive line leading the way there in Denver. Let's look at this D top Chicago, the man, Dave Duerson. Of course, Richard Dent gets some play too at that top DN spot. In the middle, Minnesota, unremarkable, right? Like I think Millard might be a 14-9 guy, but I could be wrong. And then the Chicago bottom, not good, but a big buff from Tim McDonald, the hero pick. Dizzy with a veteran move, going for defensive depth with his hero pick, foregoing offensive firepower. Uh, so he's got a very strong set of safeties, and that I think makes the hero pick worthwhile, even though his offense would certainly benefit from some speed at wide receiver. But all told, listen, man, make your moves. Make your moves with Eric Dickerson. The one thing I'll say is Denver pass two, you're not actually looking to throw the ball to Dickerson. You want either the bottom wide receiver going deep or the top wide receiver on the short end. You use the running back as bait to clear your defender out. So anyway, that's all I got to say about that. Reigning champion Drew Manster in Washington. Surprising, he was the first guy. We were talking in the group chat. There was speculation that there would be a run on playbooks, like a panic and a run on playbooks um, early on. And the guys who panicked and ran on playbooks were Drew and Chris. Drew took the Dallas playbook, looking for a shot of redemption, I'm guessing, because he acted wounded. There were memes made about how much Drew hates the Dallas playbook, which is absurd because it's the best one. It's the best one in the whole game, in my opinion. Uh, the Dallas playbook works with a shitty QB because it works with Danny White in the OG ROM. Uh, Tommy Kramer is a little better than Danny White. He's not much better. Of course, Herschel kicks ass in the Dallas playbook, and Indy receivers. So Chris Bouza, I think his name is, the top wide receiver. Well, he's faster than the stock version. Uh, what's funny though is Bill Brooks is actually a little worse than the guy who's usually on bottom in the Dallas offense. So you get an upgrade one place, downgrade. Yeah, absolutely, Chris. I also think Dallas is the best one. Minnesota O-line, he's got a powerful guy out in front there for his returns, which is important as we will get to here later. Um, Drew's first defensive pick, which kind of surprised me, I think it's a reach, um, is the Indy bottom, which gives you Dwayne Pickett. Very nice. Best thing about Pickett is he can bring the Heat on like mid-range and further field goals, which can be very useful. And Fred Robinson's a nice player. He doesn't have any initial speed, but his top speed and his acceleration are both good. So it's a good unit. It's not crazy to draft it where he did. I was just surprised. I thought there were better units available. LA mid, you get Bill Pickle. Bill Pickle is well, I mean, he's a faster than rock bottom drone. A little more likely to get in there and make a sack on a play pick without letting the guy escape. So he's not useless. The Miami top, I mean, doo-doo, but gonna have to be. Oh, Chris says, can you guys still hear me? Comment if you can hear me. All right. Chris said he lost me. Drew's still with me. All right. We'll keep moving. Okay. All right. We'll keep moving here. Freaking stoners user error. I'd love to see it. All right. So Bosa's going to have to get some play here for Drew, I would think. He's the only guy even approaching a decent receiver on that top side of the, or defender rather, on the top side of this Washington defense. Now, I will say, Drew is, there's no way to cut it. There's no way you can look at it without Drew being the best player, Washington being the most successful franchise in the history of this league, right? They got the most titles. They've won the most games. They have the best winning percentage, right? Across the board, they're the best. The most recent time that Drew was kind of underwhelming, it was in large part because he had a dog shit defense. And he's kind of got one here. But he ends up stuck with Seattle special teams, which I think Drew has been battling a fever this weekend. May have slipped by him. He winds up with Seattle special teams, and his hero pick ends up replacing the one good thing about Seattle special teams. So the Pink Demon, B.J. Edmonds, out of the league this season. James Jefferson is an improvement. I mean, James Jefferson is elite. But he's still got the doo-doo butt kicker and doo-doo butt punter, the worst combo in the game. So field position and defensive stops could be a problem for Drew this season. But hey, there's only 4 plays, folks. And if you're hitting on play picks, it doesn't matter who your defensive personnel is. Interesting squad that Drew put out here. I thought his team last season was dog shit, and he won the title. So it shows what I know, right? Maybe not dog shit, but I thought he was going to have much bigger problems with Kevin Mack than he ended up having. So we'll see. Like, Drew doesn't need great players to play great. That much I know for sure. No Pink Demon is a travesty. Yeah, I cannot believe it. Drew, you'd have been better off using your hero pick on the punter. Getting Actually, that would have worked out pretty well because then you would have had the Pink Demon, and then you would have had a much better punter. And all of a sudden, Seattle special teams is fucking good. You should. Anyway, R.I.P. Season 9, R.I.P. to the Pink Demon. I am genuinely bummed out about this, but you know what? I'll get over it. Looking at, oh yeah, Jefferson with the Indy unit, sick. Oh God, wild. All right, let's move on here. Richie, now the L.A. Rams, right? Like he's the L.A. Rams? I think so. He is used this. This might be kind of a tough season for my dude. Let's start with the good news. Dan Marino to the LA wide receivers. Since it's the LA playbook, then that means I think Mervin. Yeah. See, this has been the long play all along, Chris. Drew's going to score lots of kick return touchdowns by surrendering tons of points, and hopefully come out on top. Marino to Tim Brown and Todd Christensen. I mean, that rules. That's awesome. Craig Mack could indeed be the best fullback for the LA playbook. Roger Craig is not the type of speedy runner that we have typically associated with success in this playbook, but with the slower fullback in front of him, maybe it's going to work out well, right? Like I think it remains to be seen. You definitely have to be able to run the ball with LA because otherwise you're going to get play picked hard, stuffed back in your locker bad if you're not running the ball. Um, Another plus side, he's got the best O line in the game. Uses hero pick on the Chicago O line. I think taking using a regular pick on an O line in the first two, maybe even three rounds is wild. I would never recommend it because like there's just especially in the first two rounds. I do not feel that way about the hero round. I think it's a it's a viable pick in the hero round, especially in a year where the defensive choices were not great. So let's look at this defense, though. Seattle top, not a good unit. Easily has very high top speed, zero initial and terrible acceleration, which limits his usefulness as a player. Not a bad special teams drone, though. Denver mid, of course, Mecklenburg's badass. And Ricky Huntley is actually he's fast for his position. He is just has no initial and terrible acceleration. But Mecklenburg's good. And then one of the steals of the draft. I don't remember which round Richie got the Cleveland bottom in, but dang, it was good. It was like third or fourth. And I couldn't believe that they lasted that long. So this is actually not a bad defensive unit. It's weak on top, which is a wound. Against playbooks that you can utilize Mecklenburg against the run, though, this is pretty strong. In New York special teams, cold ass McConkey, not much of a return man. Of course, you got Landetta, the best punter in the game. So it's really going to hinge on whether or not Richie can run the ball, right? So we shall see. Husker legend Roger Craig, I've got a soft spot for him. I'm pulling for him. I hope it works out. New member Oltada, going to rep Big Blue, the New York Giants. He wound up with the Chicago playbook, which it's a very strong one. It's especially strong for new players. The Bernie Kosar Charles White combination with the Seattle wide receivers is fucking outstanding for that playbook. It's uh, in terms of personnel a big upgrade over what Chicago actually puts down there. For sure, Drew. I was thinking about that. Larger going deep is going to be ass. He's going to be better in that role than Willie Galt, right? Because you see with Seattle on the OG game. Largent starts off slower, and so he gets sneaky deep, right? You look at how he's moving when the play starts. After it's developed for some seconds, he's way deeper than you think he's going to be. And both Chicago's plays send him going deep. So it's you can call the other pass and get computer coverage on him with the top safety, and dudes like to play as that top safety. Yeah, Drew, they did do a good job of simulating. He's a guy he needs to build up a head of steam, but after he is off the screen, he's moving faster than you think he is. And so he gets deep. I have thrown some freaking bombs with the with the Seattle offense. So I love this offensive personnel. I think it's probably my favorite that I've come across so far. Oltada did an outstanding job because it's like you take Chicago already uh, considered a great offense, and then you stack it with personnel who are just perfectly suited for it. I love it. Let's look at this defense. Indy top. I am a sentimental fan of top D and John Hand, but he is objectively not good. The New York middle, not good. The New York bottom, Lawrence Taylor's presence makes it one of the very best units in the game. So this is not a deep defense. He's going to have to lean on Lawrence Taylor. And when you have to be predictable, that's when you can get in trouble sometimes. But then to cap it all off, he's got the Cleveland special teams. Right? This is an outstanding uh, roster in most regards. It's thin on defense. One thing I will say that we've kind of noticed with newer players or franchises that don't necessarily get the wins like some others. When they go all in on offense, it doesn't necessarily work out because um, strong defense can carry you farther. Um, New players are prone to mistakes on offense. Now, I do think the Chicago playbook is going to cut down on that significantly. Well, Tata definitely has the chance to make a big splash here in his first season. I'm really looking forward to seeing how he plays. Now, let's talk about the craziest draft, the person who had the craziest draft, my opinion, right? Our friend Mac. Mac, I believe, was disappointed with his performance last season. I thought he did fine. Um, he I don't know if we've ever seen anyone commit so thoroughly to outscoring his opponents, right? Max got an offense like he is trying to score 5 touchdowns a game. He gets Joe Montana midway through the second, a quarterback who greatly suits his skills, right? We all know Mac loves to take off up the middle, get some yards that way. Montana's like with Rippin, he and Rip are the second best options after Elway to do that. Joe Morris, capable back. Like, I mean, we've all played as Joe Morris with New York. He's fine. Maybe a touch on the slow side. But the San Fran wide receivers in the Cleveland playbook. So that is Jerry Rice going deep twice. That is Andre Reed, the hero pick, is the first option, the quick toss. I mean, that is a killer set of receivers. Crazy good. Cleveland O line is they got one solid guy. Now here's where the problems start because this is not good. Jim Jeffcoat is or Dennis Smith are the best players on this defense, and that's not a situation you want to be in. There's I don't believe a single point of initial speed on this defense. I think the fastest guy is Dennis Smith. He's got 15 for a top speed. Um, So Max got an offense built to score 5 touchdowns a game, and he might have to. Indy special teams, Bentley, not a great return man. Um, but the punter and kicker are a devastating combo. So this is a wild team, one of the wildest in our league's history. And I'm very much interested. I don't really want to play. I don't ever enjoy playing Mac because he gives me the business every time we play. Um, I mean, sometimes I win. I often lose. I always dread playing Mac. And I especially dread it this season. Now let's look at your friend and mine. We're getting to the bottom here. Um, DPS Chicago Indie playbook. I love it. I think it's a very interesting playbook. Um, I don't love the McMahon Dorsett QB running back combination. I think that sucks. I don't love the Dallas wide receivers. Where did these? We're gonna have to look. Where did these draft picks go? Miami O line is good. Of course, I mean McMahon is no surprise. Um, oh, I remember. Yeah, he spent like a second round pick on the return. Okay, so let's look at this defense. Ronnie, the main man lot, right? And mid. Hold on, I'm confused. Someone help me out here. Drew, I thought that DPS had. Oh, he did. Yes, he does. He's got Michael Dean Perry in his middle unit. Right, so we're dealing with two of the three best defenders in the game on the same defense. Crazy. Ronnie Lott, Michael Dean Perry. I think the decision to run a 3-4 is a mistake, right? Because it basically takes a transcendent talent like Michael Dean Perry and turns him into an extra point blocker, or you can just rush in and try and like a new brush on a guy and get quick tackles that way. That backfires a lot. So you take the hero pick, a devastating talent, you put him in a 3-4. He's an extra point blocker, basically. Um, he does have a ton of power. I don't know if he's gonna like crush through lines faster because of it. I just don't know. I kind of doubt it. Could be wrong. Um, just not the decision I would have made. But here's the thing: Dan's whole brand is that he doesn't know about this stuff. He doesn't care. He doesn't want to learn it. And he just shows up and wins games anyway. It doesn't matter. It's always a fool's errand to criticize Dan's draft decisions because ultimately it doesn't matter. Nobody is powerful enough to popcorn a Noel. All right, that's good news. So, well, good news for me. So I don't have to worry about it. Minnesota bottom. I don't even know who's down there. It's not a good unit. So here's the deal, though. Dan has Ronnie, and Ronnie is enough, right? It's always been enough. So he spent a high draft pick on the Chicago special teams. Hey, can't argue with that, dude. It's you know one of the best units. Um, so yeah, not the definitely not the most talented roster Dan's ever put out there for sure, but he doesn't necessarily need it either. Lastly, let's talk about our boy. Welcome to the league, the great Jerry. Jerry joining us. We know Jerry has tournament experience. He knows the game. He's good at the game. This was his first draft. I think he did pretty good. Starts off with Bo Jackson. I mean, that's a great place to start. I like the Washington playbook a lot. I don't think it's elite or even, it might not even be second tier, but I mean, you can get the job done. Schrader, not a great QB, but the Minnesota wide receivers, I think, are pretty well suited um, for this playbook. I might like a playbook that does a better job of letting me easily get the ball into Steve Jordan's hands, but Anthony Carter can crush it in the Washington offense. So I dig that. Now let's look at Jerry's defense. Hanford Dixon headlines that top defensive unit, one of the best. Indy mid, unexceptional. Um, but the show here is Charles Haley. Dallas bottom sucks. Charles Haley was the best defensive player available in the hero round. Very smart pick there by Jerry. Haley lets you block pretty much every field goal. He gets up in extra points. He's just, even though his ratings aren't the highest, his acceleration is key. He has outstanding acceleration, and it makes him a monster. LA Special Teams is a great unit. Tim Brown's an excellent return man. This is a hell of a team for a guy we know is a very good player. So, welcome to the league, Jerry. Yeah, I think Jerry's going to be a big problem this season. So chime in here. Like I know I've got guys online. How are you? How are you feeling about your rosters this season? I personally I like mine a lot. I think this is a championship caliber roster, and I got to go out and play at a championship caliber level. Know what I mean? My favorite roster, Ninja. I love mine, but who puts? Let's see here. San Fran bottom. CJ's got a good team. I just don't like that playbook. Um, and I think he'll struggle in it. Yeah, Nelson, you're a little. No, you've got a good one, Nelson. You've got a really good. You got two good defensive ends and an elite linebacker. Um, yeah, this will be on my channel when we're done. Not Nelson, you're gonna be just fine. Uh, CBK has got him a team here. CBK's roster is outstanding, and Oltada really did a remarkable job of putting together an offense here. And he can take big swings with Lawrence Taylor. There's some fun teams here. Chris, how do you feel about your roster, bud? He likes it a lot. Yeah, that's a very solid offense. And then yeah, that's a good team, Chris. That's a real good team. Panic picked on the playbook. I mean, Seattle, I think, is one of the best available. So, like, if you're going to panic pick, Seattle, the Seattle playbook isn't the worst one I can think of, you know? Um, yeah, that was like was that your third round pick? Maybe? I appreciate it, boys. Yes, I have had fun. I've been yakking for a while here, though. I should probably let everybody log off. But good luck to everyone. I haven't even downloaded the ROM yet. I'm gonna download it, dink around with it tonight. There's a couple of things I need to figure out. I'll be in business for some games later this week. I don't want to play tonight. Oh hell yeah! Thank you, Levi. I got the black on black, and I also got a white on black too. I'm officially a tracksuit person and have never felt more alive. So, all right, boys. Have a great night. Good luck to everyone. I'll be around later this week for some games. Go Big Pink.